Greetings, Captains, and welcome to another TFO trading session. By popular request from last fall, the next TFO we're covering is the Battle of Binary Stars. Prepare to receive objectives.
When the battle starts, defend the Shenzhou, keeping its health above 80% for 4 minutes. Once the next stage starts, you'll need to recover 80 escape pods from 2 separate zones. In the final stage, withstand the Klingon assault and destroy up to 60 enemy vessels while doing so. You have 4.5 minutes to complete this phase, ending the TFO.
Thank you. Now, risks and rewards. This TFO needs modest coordination to play well on Elite with all optionals and without dying. The chief concern here is proper coverage of both zones in the escape pod stage. Enemy threat level is moderately high, as the Mokai do have decent damage output, and there are many of them. Of course, they're also comparatively flimsy, but they just keep coming. This TFO awards a moderate amount of discovery or fleet marks, along with a chance for enchained current pieces. Lastly, this operation's duration is considerable, with a long briefing and 2 long cutscenes, both unskippable, along with a hard time gate in the first stage and soft time gates in the second and third stages. The adversaries on this operation are House Mokai Klingons, led by Takuvma. Takuva's Dreadnought can be targeted when it has non-zero health amounts, but not destroyed. If its health is reduced to 0, it will temporarily become untargetable until it regenerates. This makes it a very tempting target for exotic ships, especially those that lead with a gravity well, and then progress into a variety of ways to deteriorate, decompile, and disintegrate enemies from there. As a great philosopher once said of exotic builds, you make a pile, and then you punch the pile, and Takuva's Dreadnought is the most punchable of targets. The rest of the Mokai ships are numerous but flimsy. The chief consideration for this otherwise straightforward TFO is that you must ensure prompt coverage of both escape pod zones, as losing any of them other than poor Lieutenant Tyler fails the mission. Keep the Klingons away and prioritize escape pod retrieval. Once that stage is done, you can return to blasting. This TFO is quite lengthy and has a long briefing and 2 unskippable cutscenes, so you'll be here for at least 10 minutes. Now, combat footage will be shown to illustrate the principles discussed previously. The goal of this section is not to illustrate perfect piloting, but provide an example of how to successfully complete the map with all objectives and without dying. Exotic builds excel in this map, as the Mokai are fragile, plentiful, and respawn infinitely all around you. When the briefing ends, keep it simple. Target Takuva's Sarcophagus Dreadnought and, to borrow from Nero, fire everything. The first stage does not require much in the way of tactics, other than staying somewhat near the Shenzhou. When Takuva's Dreadnought goes untargetable, you can target something else near it briefly, but it will return eventually and serve as a convenient dropping point for all of your exotic consoles and bridge officer abilities. This makes it trivial to keep the Shenzhou's health at full while destroying the Klingon fleet over and over again. Gravity Well excels on this map, just like on all stationary infinite spawn maps. This portion is relatively straightforward, but if your ship is more fragile, try and stay near teammates. That said, any high-powered exotic ship will be able to deal with this portion of the map with relative ease. You just make the pile and punch it over and over and over again. Toward the end of the first stage, I move up on the minimap because it positions me well for the next phase of the map. Once the cutscene finishes, we're going to split the team up into 2 areas to retrieve escape pods from the Clark and Jaeger. Move to an area and start retrieving escape pods. In this case, I was already close to the Jaeger zone, at the top of the minimap, so I moved there. Combat does not interrupt retrieval, and neither does taking damage, so keep firing while you do so, but do stay in the circle on the minimap, as there is a tether range. With 2 of us at this zone, it progresses fairly quickly. Try and stay behind the Klingon warp-in point to keep them in front of you, due to the narrow arc of most exotic abilities. Since the team is divided here, you'll want to pay more attention to your survivability, since there's less sharing of aggro. Here I take a ton of damage from a high-yield torpedo when my shields were down. Once my hull is back up, it's easy enough to resume activities. I didn't activate any hull heals because, as an exotic ship, you should know that you have continuity to keep you alive. If it's down, you'll need to adjust accordingly.
Prepare to receive my envoy.
After the second cutscene receives the envoy, it's time to clean up the Mokai. Blast through 60 of the enemy ships to complete the TFO. There's a 4.5 minute time gate on destroying those 60 ships, so depending on your DPS, that'll either be kind of trivial or a bit of a challenge. Once all 60 are destroyed, the mission ends.
Of the Federation, what you call your most remote borders, I call too close to Klingon territory. You only live now to serve as witnesses of Klingon supremacy, to be my herald. We do not desire to know you, but you will know our great houses standing as one under Kalish, reborn in me, Tukuma.
I think we've seen enough for now.
Captain, if this breakdown helped you in your quest to play Stowe better, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. The link to the specific build used for this tutorial is in the description. For more guides and builds, check us out at www.stobetter.com.